The Houston and Clear Lake chapters of the Native Plant Society of Texas welcome you to this virtual tour of plants. For each of the Native Landscape Certification Program levels 1 through 3 classes, we teach about 50 different plants in each of these levels, and each of these levels has 50 different plants. And in this group, there are 45 plants that are native species that are chosen, that we know do well in various areas in our Houston-Galveston area. And as well as that 45 plants that do well here, we have another 5 plants that are invasive species that are not native to the area and potentially cause problems in our landscapes. In this group of plants that we'll talk about, we subdivide those into a number of different categories. And the video will follow. We'll show a group of shade trees. These are the large trees that everyone thinks about. And the second group will be smaller trees and more ornamental trees. The third group are shrubs. And we follow shrubs by a group of plants. We refer to as flowering plants. They may be more properly known as herbs or forbs, but these will be the traditional perennials, annuals, biennials that we use in our flower beds. And we'll talk about a group of grasses that can be used in your landscape and other projects. And then we'll follow that with ground covers and ferns that are native to our area that work in your landscape as well. The last group of 5 plants are all invasive species that we do not recommend, and in every case, we'll give recommendations of native plants that can be used in their place that have similar structure or similar properties. So we'd like to welcome you to our tour of plants. I hope you enjoy them and learn a lot. Thank you.
Black cherry is a large deciduous shade tree 70 to 100 feet tall. Leaves are shiny on top, oblong with long pointed tips and toothed margins. The bark is distinctive. It's red, shiny, and smooth when young, and black, roughened, and scaly when mature. Small white flowers in drooping narrow clusters appear in late spring after the glossy leaves have emerged. Round, dark red fruit ripens to black in summer. They are edible to human but are bittersweet. Germination rates are high, and the seeds are widely dispersed by birds. Eastern red cedar is an evergreen tree 20 to 50 feet tall and makes an excellent screen or windbreak. The aromatic bark is used in cedar chests and closets for insect control. The reddish-brown bark peels off in long strips. It forms a distinctive pyramid or Christmas tree shape when it's young. It also has fragrant, blue-green, scale-like foliage. The pale green, juicy cones look like berries and are consumed by many kinds of wildlife, including mammals and birds. The cones only occur on female plants and need males for pollination. It grows best in sun or part shade in dry, well-drained soil, sand, loam, or clay. Pinus tita, the lovely loblolly pine, is a 60 to 100-foot evergreen tree. With full sun, a dense rounded crown of dark blue-green foliage will develop. If it's shaded by nearby trees, it will drop limbs and develop a thicker trunk instead. Loblolly is a fast-growing but long-lived tree. Loblolly pine, thick, dark red bark is attractive and breaks into irregular, flaky plates with deep fissures. The blue-green needles are borne in bundles of 3 and are about 5 to 10 inches long. The woody cones are 3 to 5 inches long, oval, reddish-brown, armed with prickles on the tips of the scales, and require 2 years to mature. The winged seeds are shed during fall and early winter after the cones fully open. Osage orange is a medium-sized, spiny, deciduous tree, 35 to 60 feet tall, with a broad, rounded crown. It features orange-brown bark, ovate, shiny, dark green leaves, milky sap, thorny twigs, and large, wrinkled green fruit. Straight, stout thorns, up to 1 inch long, grow at the base of some leaves. Both male and female trees flower with non-showy clusters in April, May, or June. Grapefruit-sized fruits called hedge apples or horse apples with a dense cluster of hundreds of small fruits are eaten by squirrels and bobwhite quail. Native Americans used the hard but flexible wood for bows, and it's still used that way today. Pecan is a deciduous shade tree 50 to 100 feet tall with gray, platy bark. Plant it in full sun and 50 feet apart. The trees produce both male and female flowers on the same plant, and they've evolved successfully by cross-pollinating with other varieties in cultivar. Each plant will develop its male and female flowers at different times to ensure that they mix pollen with other plants. Native pecans take 10 to 15 years to begin to fruit. Grafted varieties produce fruit in 5 to 10 years. Pecans are last to lose their leaves in fall and last to produce new leaves in spring, allowing underlings to get enough sun to get a good start for the year. Shumard red oak is a deciduous pyramid-shaped tree growing 50 to 90 feet and becoming more open at maturity. Bark is thick, smooth, and grayish, becoming furrowed and darker gray with age. The trunk is frequently buttressed at the base with large white roots on all sides that stabilize the tree. Lower branches are chiefly horizontal. Leaves are 4 to 8 inches long with 2 to 4 pairs of pointed lobes with soft spines on the tips. They turn scarlet in the fall, and the acorns are almost as wide as long, 3/4 to an inch. Shumard red oak is relatively fast-growing and lives 150 to 200 years. Sugarberry is a medium-sized deciduous shade tree 30 to 50 feet with a rounded crown and upright arching branches. Sugarberry can handle any soil condition from very dry to well-drained to flood-prone. It has low water needs, grows fast, but is relatively short-lived. Not to worry, birds love the sweet fruit and will provide many replacement trees. The fruit ripens in the fall and is important for birds and other wildlife because it's high in fat. You may know this tree by the name hackberry. It is important not to plant turf grass under this tree. The butterflies, caterpillars use fallen hackberry leaves as their winter shelter. Removing the leaves will kill the next generation of butterflies. Also, sugarberry has narrow roots, and trunk damage from a lawnmower or weed trimmer will cause it to rot. Swamp chestnut oak grows 6 to 8 feet tall with a compact, narrow, rounded crown. It has gray bark with flaky ridges, and the wood was often split into thin but flexible strips for weaving heavy baskets used to harvest cotton, thus a common name basket oak. The leaves are 11 inches long, 2 to 7 inches wide, with wavy edges with rounded teeth. Leaves are shiny green above and turn dark red in the fall. Flowers are followed by acorns, which ripen in September or October. From 1/3 to half of each nut is covered by a cup of scales. Acorns are consumed by a number of different mammals and birds. Evergreen American holly forms a pyramid in full sun to 40 feet. It can also handle any degree of shade, but probably won't form berries in full shade. Both male and females are needed for berries. Thick, leathery, deep green leaves have spiny edges. Greenish-white flowers bloom May to June. The male flowers are in clusters of 3 to 12, and female flowers are solitary or in 2s and 3s. Bright red fruits ripen in fall and persist on the tree through winter. Birds love the fruit and the shelter provided. The wood is ivory white when first cut, but darkens in the air. It was formerly used for piano keys and cabinet inlays. Carolina buckthorn is a small, oval, deciduous tree that grows 10 to 15 feet. Although called a buckthorn, this species has no spines. The leaves are up to 5 inches long, ovate to elliptic, pointed to the tip, and tapered or rounded at the base. The veins are prominent, bright green and shiny. Flowers are not showy, yellowish, in small clusters at the base of leaves, opening in the spring. Fruit fleshy, 1/4 inch or more in diameter, are red, turning black when ripe. Songbirds and other wildlife consume the berries in the fall. Farkleberry is a small tree 12 to 15 feet tall with a single trunk. The bark exfoliates and is composed of grays, rich browns, oranges, and reddish browns. The branches and twigs of this shrub are often crooked. It prefers good drainage and sandy loam. Farkleberry's fragrant flowers resemble tiny white bells. The blooming period is 3 weeks in the spring. The berries are inedible to humans, but are persistent blackberries for wildlife. Shiny, dark green leaves turn deep red in the fall. Hercules club is often called the toothache tree or the tingle-tongue tree because chewing on the leaves, bark, or twigs causes a numbness of the mouth, tongue, or gum. It was used by Native Americans and early settlers to address the pain of toothaches. It is an aromatic, spiny, round-crowned tree, 10 to 25 feet, with spreading branches and tiny gland dots on foliage, flowers, and fruit. The bark of the tree is unusual. It's light gray and thinly covered with conspicuous, corky, cone-like outgrowths with a thorn in the middle. It is an excellent source of seeds for birds and requires plentiful water and sunlight. The red bay is an evergreen, short-trunked tree that grows 12 to 40 feet. The bark is reddish-brown with irregular furrows that separate flat-topped ridges. Pale yellow flowers occur in small panicles from leaf axils and are followed by dark blue to black half-inch fruit. 4 to 6 inch leaves are leathery and narrowly oval with pointed tips. These spicy leaves can be used to flavor soups and stews. Sassafras likes rich, moist, sandy loams. It also likes undisturbed sites with infertile soil, with horizontal branching. The red-brown bark is deeply ridged and furrowed. All parts of the plant are fragrant. Sassafras is unusual in having 3 distinct leaf forms: on-lobed oval, mitten-shaped, and 3-pronged, and has outstanding fall color of yellow with red tones and amber. Little bunches of yellow-green flower balls are scattered profusely over the female tree and less so on the male. The roots and root bark were formerly used to make sassafras tea and to flavor root beer. Leaves are used to thicken gumbo. Shining sumac is a short tree with crooked trunks and open branching. Glossy, dark green, pinnately compound leaves with 9 to 21 leaflets and a central leaf stalk that is conspicuously winged. Leaves are up to 2.5 feet long and turn flame red in the fall. It has drooping, pyramid-shaped fruit clusters that turn red and persist through winter. Native sumacs are important wildlife plants, providing winter food for many upland game birds, songbirds, and large and small mammals. Only female plants produce berries. It often flourishes in poor soil and may sucker to form thickets.
Chili Pekin, Capsicum annum. The chili pekin is a perennial native hot pepper that is well behaved in the garden. It is an easy-to-grow favorite that the birds also love. Chili pekins will grow with sun or shade and respond to good care with more growth and fruits. The fruits are edible and on the hot side as a seasoning. They're good for forage for humans and wildlife. Coral bean, Erythrina herbacea. Coral bean is a glossy-leaved, thorny shrub to 6 feet with many herbaceous annual stems. The leaflets are arrow-shaped with 3 leaflets. Before leaves appear, upright spikes of showy tubular flowers adorn the bare branches. The scarlet-red flowers are 12 inches long in spike-like clusters. Hummingbirds love it. Fruit is a black pod with bright red seeds. Seeds are highly toxic if ingested. Rock rose, Pavonia lacciopetala. This small perennial shrub is woody at the base, herbaceous above, bearing light green velvety heart-shaped leaves and deep rose-pink miniature hibiscus-like flowers. The flowers open in the morning and close at night. They provide nectar for butterflies, moths, and hummingbirds, and it has long blooming period and is very versatile. It accepts full sun to half-day shade, a variety of soils, and very dry to regularly irrigated conditions. St. Andrew's Cross, Hypericum hypericoides. St. Andrew's Cross is a small evergreen shrub 1 to 3 feet high that usually grows in sandy soil in wooded areas. It has been used for medicinal purposes. It has tiny overlapping linear leaves and shiny red-brown bark which shreds on older branches. It has lots of branching and looseness and blooms in fairly heavy shade. It has yellow flowers with 4 petals that form a distinctive cross. Wildlife value the nectar and seeds for food. Texas lantana, Lantana urticoides. Texas lantana is a low, spreading shrub with rough and aromatic leaves. It grows best in poor sandy soils, in hot, dry areas, in full sun or light shade. Lantana flowers profusely with the start of hot weather, in mid to late summer, with flowers that age from yellow to orange to red, clumped together in clusters. Although its leaves are poisonous to livestock and humans, its nectar is a favorite of butterflies, and many birds eat the fruit. Woolly rose mallow, Hibiscus laciocarpus, is a shrub that grows to 5 feet and loves wet soil, with soft fuzzy leaves. It has large, 4-inch, white or pinkish flowers with a maroon center all summer. Flowers are borne in the upper leaf axils. Each flower has a prominent and showy center staminal column. It can be cut to the ground in winter when it goes dormant. New growth emerges from the bottom of the stem in spring, and birds love the seeds.
Acephalus perennis, or aquatic milkweed, is found in wetlands, marshes, ditches, and swamps in all of our area ecoregions. It is a plant that likes sandy, loamy soils and would do very well in a rain garden. It grows up to 2 feet high and has a purplish green stem and opposite leaves that are evergreen. The flower clusters have up to 25 whitish to pinkish tipped flowers. Perennis is a larval host for monarch butterflies, and honeybees and bumblebees are attracted to it. Blue star is found in moist prairies, swamps, ditches, and by streams in all of our ecoregions that have sandy and loamy soils. Ornamental clusters of small pale blue tubular blooms appear in early to mid-spring. The flowers flare at the ends in a star-like pattern. Its smooth stems have small oval leaves that turn golden in the fall. It can be clump-forming, it grows up to a foot tall, and it spreads by its roots. Apparently dogs find this plant distasteful, so it is also known as dogbane. Cardinal flower is found in open woodlands, moist prairies, and stream banks in all of our ecoregions, so it would be a good plant in a rain garden or wetland setting. It prefers rich soils of all sorts and tolerates poor drainage. Its showy red tubular flowers are pollinated by hummingbirds. The stem looks like a fiery spire. Growing up to 4 feet tall, it goes dormant in winter but has a rosette. It can be propagated by bending down a stalk and anchoring it in the soil from which a new plant will emerge. All parts of the plant are somewhat toxic to humans. Elephant's foot occurs in dry, shady areas like woodlands and thickets in all of our ecoregions. The leaves are somewhat ovid, and the lower leaves could resemble an elephant's footprint. It has lavender flower clusters with each flower head composed of 2 to 5 tubular disc florets. It prefers sandy soil and can be up to 3 feet tall. It can serve as a good ground cover when planted in mass. It goes dormant in winter and will reseed well. It is a great nectar source for pollinators and can tolerate drought. Late flowering boneset grows in the prairies, savannas, woodlands, and lake edges in all of our ecoregions. It grows in all soils and is a prolific fall bloomer that can get as high as 6 feet. It has opposite serrated leaves and clouds of white flower clusters that bloom in the fall and attract numerous butterflies and native bees. Birds eat the plant's seeds. In the past, the plant has been useful in treating viral fevers, joint pain, and edema. Missouri ironweed is found in the prairies and open woodlands of our floodplains, flatwoods, and Gulf Prairie ecoregions. It likes all soils, but does not like a lot of water. It can grow up to 4 feet tall and pairs well with other forbs, such as Indian blanket and coneflowers. It has very tough stems and deep roots, which can make it hard to transplant. The leaves alternate and lanceolate. It can require thinning and goes dormant in winter. It is the larval host for several moth species and a great nectar source for butterflies, skippers, and native bees. Lemon bee balm is an easily grown annual that is drought tolerant and useful in borders or background plantings. It likes well-drained, loamy soils in prairies and meadows of our eastern ecoregions. It has edible leaves and is wonderfully aromatic. Hummingbirds, butterflies, and bees use it for a nectar source. The seeds can be collected and sown in spring or fall, or let the seeds mature on the plant before it is cut down and maximum reseeding will occur. Plains coreopsis is a 1 to 2 foot tall annual wildflower found in prairies and along pond banks and roadsides in all of our ecoregions. It has yellow daisy flowers with a brown center and prefers moist sands, loams, and clays. If the seed heads are allowed to mature before cutting, reseeding will be ensured. It is a great nectar source for butterflies and bees, and birds like the seeds. It is also deer resistant. Prairie Gerardia is a 1 to 2 foot airy annual found in the plains, prairies, grasslands, and open woodlands of our western floodplains and Gulf Prairie regions. It has trumpet flowers that are pink or lavender with spotted throats. Ultraviolet centers attract bees and butterflies. It blooms August through November and prefers moisture soils of all types and can withstand poor draining soils. It has a tendency to sprawl, so it is best planted with other forbs or grasses. Showy evening primrose is found in open areas, prairies, and woodland openings in all of our ecoregions. It grows in well-drained soils of all types and blooms in March through July. It is a hardy, drought-resistant plant. When planted in rich soil, it will yield large leaves and small flowers. Each pink or white flower lasts only a day and opens in the cooler mornings and afternoons. Because of its abundant yellow pollen, it is often called buttercup, but the buttercup flower is an entirely different plant. Spiderwort has many varieties in our area, and it will hybridize with abandon. It is found in prairies and open woodlands of our flatwoods, Gulf prairies, and coastal marshes. The violet to blue pinkish 3-petaled flowers are clustered at the ends of 1 to 3 foot angular stalks. It has long, narrow leaves and prefers shady, well-drained, sandy soils, but it can tolerate loam and clay soils. It works well as a border or in a rain garden. When the stems are broken, a sticky sap comes out that hardens into fine thread-like strands similar to a spider's web, which is the reason for its spiderwort name.
Brown seed paspalum is a bunch grass that grows 18 to 36 inches tall. It has bluish green leaves and is slightly purple at the base. It spreads by seeds and rhizomes. The seeds mature throughout the year. Emerging and mature seed heads form at the same time. Brown seed paspalum is a great friend to wildlife. Its leaves provide excellent cover for nesting birds. Its seeds are consumed by many birds, including quail, turkey, mottled duck, and sparrows. Deer and rabbits also enjoy nibbling on this grass. Brown seed paspalum also serves as a host plant for many of the skipper butterfly species. Long-spiked tridens is a short-lived, warm-season bunch grass. It will tolerate a wide range of soil conditions and prefers full sun to light shade. Long-spiked tridens have a long stalk on which it produces densely tufted seed heads of 4 to 12 inches long. It reaches heights of 2 to 4 feet. The flowers occur from mid-July into October. Split-beard bluestem is a grass that reaches 1.5 to 4 feet high and 2 feet wide. It is noted primarily for its silvery white seed tufts, which are quite showy in sunlight. A closer inspection of these tufts will explain how it came by the name split beard. This foliage turns copper red and bronze in the fall. Split-beard bluestem is a valuable wildlife habitat plant, providing food, cover, bare ground travel, and nesting sites for birds and small mammals. It is often found growing with little bluestem. Blue water hyssop is a creeping native perennial wildflower that can be used in wetlands, pond and stream margins, swamps, marshes, and shallow ditches. It can also be enjoyed as a houseplant in an aquarium or shallow dish. For those needing aquatic or water-loving plants, blue water hyssop is a good choice. It has been described as the most beautiful ground cover for muddy soil. However, it can be invasive if not pruned back regularly. The purplish blue blooms attract many pollinators. A variety of fish use submerged roots and leaves for protection as well as to lay their eggs. Cinnamon fern makes a nice addition to bogs and water gardens. It can grow up to 5 feet tall and exist in full sun if kept in standing water. Notice the brownish-colored fronds in the center of this plant. These reproductive fronds are especially adapted for the dispersal of spores. They are surrounded by green sterile fronds. The color and shape of these dispersal fronds are said to resemble cinnamon sticks, giving the plant its common name. Care of this fern depends on getting plenty of water, and dead fronds should be removed in the spring. Frog fruit is a ground cover that is happy almost everywhere. It is happy wet and dry. It is happy in sun or parched shade. It can tolerate drought or flooding and survive in almost every soil. It is also happy to grow in heavy traffic areas. Because of its resilience, it can be used as a replacement for grass lawns. It grows 3 to 3.5 inches tall, so doesn't need to be mowed, but can tolerate a mower. Frog fruit serves as a host plant for the common buckeye, white peacock, and fan crescent butterfly. Horseherb is a low 6 to 8 inch ground cover that tolerates deep shade as well as sun. It can grow under trees where nothing else will. Its tiny yellow flowers add a touch of color to shady areas and attract butterflies, such as sulfurs and skippers. Because horseherb expands by runners as well as by rooting from the stem, it can become invasive. It is a plant that brings out opposite feelings among gardeners. When researching horseherb, there is almost as much information on how to control it as how to grow it. Lyre-leaf sage is an upright perennial of the mint family. It grows 1 to 2 feet tall with a rosette of leaves at its base. This plant spreads easily and can become a ground cover. It tolerates both drought and flooding. The lyre-leaf's blue flowers grow in whorls around the stem. The blossoms are about 1 inch long and formed of 2 lobes. When a bee lands on the lower lobe of the flower, the 2 stamens are tipped and the insect is doused with pollen. Hummingbirds and butterflies also enjoy this plant. Unlike frog fruit, lyre-leaf sage is deer resistant. Pigeonberry is a perennial herb that grows 1 to 3 feet tall. It serves as an understory plant in well-drained soils. It has been said that pigeonberry plays well with others in its woodland setting. It produces lovely pink flowers and bright-colored berries. The fruit can appear on the lower part of the stem, while the upper part is still blooming. Pigeonberry, as the name suggests, provides food support for migratory and resident birds. Deer are also known to graze on it. However, the fruit and leaves are toxic to humans.
Carolina snailseed, Cocculus carolinus, a twining, non-thorny vine found in the moist, rich woods of our western floodplains, Gulf Coast prairies, and post-oak savanna regions. Grows in sands, loams, and clays. It's 3 to 15 feet in height. It has bright red berries, dark green ovate to heart-shaped leaves. Ornamental, interesting, it has coiled seeds. Hardy grower, can colonize rapidly. Prune only in winter to shape. It's a larval host for the moonseed moth, and the birds eat the berries, and it is deer resistant. Muscadine grape, a twining vine found in the open woods of our western floodplains, flatwoods, Gulf prairies, and post-oak savannas. It likes moist, rich, well-draining, sandy, loamy, and alluvial soils. It may reach 75 to 100 feet and can form thickets, providing shelter for wildlife. Simple, alternate, toothed leaves. Birds and mammals eat fruit. Deers and rabbits eat the foliage. Plants not so fertile, whereas many cultivars, which are sold in nurseries, are. Prune in winter to maintain shape and enhance fruit production by limiting number of canes and buds. Virginia creeper, found in open woodlands, shady woods, streamsides, and riverbanks in our western floodplains, flatwoods, and post-oak savanna regions. Prefers well-drained sands, loams, and clays. Palmately compound leaves with 5 leaflets. It's a woody deciduous vine that can reach up to 40 feet. Tendrils are adhesive, so won't damage buildings. Best foliage, color, and berry production in full sun. It's a larval host for sphinx moths. It's very ornamental in the fall, and propagation by cuttings is more successful than by seeds. Yellow passion flower, Passiflora lutea, grows in the well-drained sands and loams of the moist, shady woods and thickets of our Gulf prairies and coastal marshes. Bluntly 3-lobed alternate leaves. It's a host plant for multiple butterflies and passionflower bee. It's a good nectar source for bees. Birds and mammals eat the fruit. You'd like to prune it to direct size and growth as necessary, and it is deer resistant. Chinaberry, Melia azedarac, fast-growing deciduous tree from Asia that can reach 60 feet. Introduced to the southern U.S. in 1930, it was a popular tree but is now considered a pest commercially. It thrives in all soils. It can spread rapidly from seeds and roots, leaves alternate and compound, has fragrant lavender flowers, yellow poisonous berries. Seeds remain viable for up to 2 years. Native alternatives include black cherry, Mexican plum, and fringe tree. Golden rain tree, deciduous tree from Asia reaching 40 feet. Introduced to America in 1763, it became a popular landscape tree and is still sold commercially. Reproduces by abundant seeds which may germinate in 8 days. Thrives in all soils. 12 to 15-inch long panicle of yellow flowers. After blooming, the petals drop, resembling a golden rain blanket. Leaves pinnate with deeply serrated margins. Fruits are dehiscent, papery, and 3-valved. Native alternatives are western soapberry or any of the sumacs. Japanese climbing fern, Lygodium japonicum. Perennial vine-type fern reaching up to 90 feet in length. Introduced as early as 1888 as an ornamental and is now widely considered an invasive. Smothers native vegetation by blocking sunlight. It increases fire risk by allowing fire to spread along its vines and up trees. The leaves are lacy and finely divided, arranged opposite on the vine. The vines are green to orange to black and wiry. Native alternatives are southern maidenhair fern, wood fern, Turk's cap, American beautyberry. Lantana, West Indian lantana, Lantana camara. Non-native lantana shrub can grow to 6 feet. Native to Central and South America and the West Indies. Allelopathic, toxic to many mammals. Usually has yellow tubular flowers in clusters that fade to pink. As a reminder, always check botanical name as nurseries have developed cultivars in all colors. Leaves opposite and ovate and produce a strong odor when crushed. A single plant can produce 12,000 berries. It's very adaptable to many conditions. Native alternatives are Texas lantana. Nandina, heavenly bamboo, sacred bamboo, Nandina domestica. Asian native cultivars are still sold. Evergreen in our area, it can grow to 10 feet. Multiple bushy stalks, resemble bamboo, spreads through underground sprouts from roots and by seeds. Deep taproot and extensive root system. Cluster of red berries persist for months. Berries are toxic to birds and other animals as they contain cyanide. Bitripinnately compound leaves, red-tinged fall foliage. Native alternatives, possum haw, Yopon holly, Barbados cherry, coral bean, strawberry bush.